Hey everybody, it's Heath Mullikin, and I am joined today by Dr. Vicki Luther. Dr. Luther, hey, thank you for joining me today.
Hi, good morning.
So the first thing I want to ask you, as we'll just kind of go through your career, but how did you first learn about Southern Wesleyan University? What led you to enrolling there?
Definitely a God thing. I actually grew up in the Wesleyan Church, and so I'm from Delaware. A lot of my friends were going to University of Delaware, and I just felt led to go. It was funny because it was far away from home, but I just really felt led to go there. And I also knew a couple of people from the church district who were associated or had gone, and I had heard that it had a really good education program, and so I ended up actually visiting for the first time during the summer before I went, and really just loved it. I loved the small atmosphere. Just really enjoyed everything about it. And so I knew it was the place that I wanted to go. And definitely, I look back now and we laugh because I ended up meeting my husband my very first day that I was there. My parents had just driven away. I really didn't know a lot of people. I knew like maybe one or two people, including my roommate. And I ended up, he came up and said hi, and so here we are. 2020, and so I got a good education, and I also got a husband out of the deal.
So what part of Delaware did you grow up in? We lived up in Wilmington for about a year.
Oh wow, yeah, Dover, outside of Dover, Camden, but Dover's very small, or Delaware is very small, 3 counties, and so you tell me where you're from in Delaware, and I'm pretty much going to know where it is.
So now you are at Mercer University. So as you have gone through your career, what are some things or some ways that your time at Southern Wesleyan, your education there, helped prepare you professionally?
Wow, I would say in so many ways. When I got out of college, I did feel very prepared. As a new teacher, you're never truly prepared for the real world, but I feel like my experience there and my professors really shaped me. And if you had told me when I was in college that I would be doing, this line of work, I would have said absolutely not. I thought I was going to be a elementary classroom teacher for, pretty much for the rest of my life. And I think that just a lot of it came from people who believed in me, and just the smaller class settings allowed me to get to know my professors. I could ask questions. I really developed a great community of friendships with the people in my classes. And so I started out as an elementary teacher, and I did that, and I was still enjoying it, but I felt like there was something else that God had for me. And I like to tell people that I felt like I was making a difference in the lives of my 22, 23 students per year. But in this role, I get to shape teacher candidates, and then they can go out and impact, so I feel like maybe this is a bigger impact that I have in my life. But I definitely just say the encouragement and just the support that I received from my faculty members just really set the stage for my future career in higher ed.
So after you left Southern Wesleyan, where did you do your graduate work?
I ended up going back to Delaware and did my graduate work up there. I was close by to my family, to my parents, and I did it there. I was still teaching, and so I was, kind of doing a lot of things at one time. And I look back now and I'm thinking, wow, that was a busy time in my life. But I think again, just being involved in so many things in my undergrad just helped me to have better time management. And I'm not saying I have the best time management, but it did really help me, because at SWU I was able to be involved in a lot of things, and I had to plan and I had to, organize. And I think all of that just went right into my career. And then when I started working in my graduate work.
Yeah, you mentioned, before we got started, being a double major and being involved with Impact. So that's one thing about Southern Wesleyan is if you want to be involved in things, the opportunities are there to get plugged into campus life and to student life.
Absolutely. And I actually was involved in some productions that, we had, there were so many opportunities that we had to be involved in things. And I look back now and, I know that if you go to a big university, you could still be involved. But I just felt that there were so many opportunities and you didn't feel intimidated. You didn't feel, you really did feel part of a community at SWU.
Hmm. Now, you have done a lot of research on literacy, especially how it relates to kids from low income homes. Can you tell us a little bit about that research?
Sure. Actually, that's one of my big passions, because I just feel that literacy is, that is just a common denominator, that everyone should have that opportunity in their life to learn to read, to write. Without that foundation, it's just, not going to work. And what I've found in my research is we still have a divide. And I think as Christ followers, we have an opportunity to help those who are in need and those who, need us the most. And so that's one of my big research topics is really looking at the early literacy and building that foundation. And with that comes the opportunity to train teachers to be more well equipped, so that kindergarten teacher can really truly understand how to relate to a student who may not have opportunities prior to kindergarten to learn. They may not have parents who read to them at night. And so just helping to kind of, get that divide, to make sure that students have the opportunities as they go into school to help them. And another part of my research is teacher retention. And so I'm just a firm believer that what I do as a person in higher ed, in a college of education, is helping to train. I think it's ethical that we train and support teachers so that they do feel that this is a career that they can stay in. We have all these statistics that, people spend all this money to be teachers, and then after the first year, they leave, and because they didn't have the strength in a program to help them really truly know how to teach. And so that's a huge part of what I do is looking for ways to support, to mentor, to train new teachers so that the students themselves and the teachers have a fair chance at learning and growing and developing.
Yeah. Right now we're living in unprecedented times, and all around the country, teachers and students are finding out that they're not going back to the classroom this year.
Mm-hmm.
So as you have been preparing teachers, I'm curious if you've heard from any of your former students, but how do you think this current situation, again, you and I talked about kind of Zoom fatigue. How do you think all of this is going to impact education in the future, and how it impact how you train teachers?
Absolutely. And that's something, um, I am, I try to be a very optimistic person. And I firmly believe that this is actually going to open up some eyes to the challenges that teachers face, and to the fact that teaching is difficult. But it's a career. And I see memes and I see things on social media where parents are trying to homeschool their children, and you see these funny memes about I've already expelled a child and I've only been homeschooling for 3 hours, and and so but I think that really truly, I think that this might push us back into seeing how education is, it's a career, it's a profession, it should be treated as such. And also, I think that this is really opening up creativity, so that we are looking at different ways and different means. I know that this actually is almost, in a sense, helping children who are so, we get so used to, in America, it's, we're so used to having everything. And we're so used to going to the store and seeing everything we need in surplus. And I think that children are actually saying, I miss school. I miss actually, and I think so. So I'm really thinking, and I'm optimistic that this will maybe bring about some changes in mindset. And I really think that teachers also are starting to recognize that, I'm being creative. I'm going above and beyond. This is unprecedented. But I think that I'm really hoping that people start to recognize the roles that teachers play, not just as an educator, but also all the other things that educators do, to support students and families.
At the beginning of the school year, my son actually started online school, and it just wasn't for him. He missed connecting with the teachers, and so middle of the school year, he goes back to public school, and he came up to me last night. He's like, "Dad, this is exactly what I didn't want to be doing. I missed everybody. I want to, want to go back. I missed that interaction." And I think, um, yeah, I'm very curious. I think it's during times like this that some of our greatest innovations come through, and I'm excited to see how that impacts the world of education.
I
Uh,
am as
so,
well.
so one of the reasons we wanted to talk to you at this time was you were just selected as a governor's teaching fellow, and there might be people listening to this and they're like, I have no idea what that means. So can you tell us? Obviously a very prestigious award, but can you tell us a little bit about what that is and how that came about for you?
Sure. First of all, totally a God thing again. I look at myself and I say, I basically am not, I never look at anything that I get and say, oh, that was me. Definitely not. Um, but it came about, in the state of Georgia. We have governor's teaching fellows, which every year they select, from all the universities within the state, and you have to be nominated. And then so people from different, different colleges within a university, are nominated, and then the university president selects one. And so I was selected by our president, and so my name went up, to the you know to the higher ups, within the state, and they select, out of all the colleges, they select a small number. And I received notification that I had been selected, which is a truly an honor, and a privilege. And basically what that means is, I will be spending some time at University of Georgia in the fall and in the spring. And I'll be working with a small cohort of like-minded individuals from other institutions. And we will be doing a lot of growing. It's a lot of professional learning. And with that, we also have a big project that each of us has to do during our time. And I chose to do mine on which I really did not know about the pandemic when, they said when I had to fill out the application, they said, what would you want your project to be if you were selected? And I said that I wanted to focus on social and emotional aspects of how that influences children of poverty, and academically, and so that actually happened. I found out that I was nominated and I had to fill out this application. That happened before all of this came about, and now I'm thinking, wow, what perfect timing, because now I get to do some further research on how this social and emotional aspect of learning really does influence the academics, especially if you have that fear, and you are living in poverty and everything is unstable. And now with the economy and with just different things going on in the world and just the fear of going outside, I think that this is going to be something that I'm hoping will be very beneficial where I live, and then elsewhere. So I don't have all the logistics of, but we are planning, Lord willing, starting in September, and then every month throughout the year, I'll be meeting, and we do 3-day intensive every month, just trainings and workshops and working. So it'll be probably 3 days of little sleep, and then come back to my real world, real job. So I'm really honored, and I'm really excited because I think this will help me professionally, and then it will help. I'm wanting everything that I learn. I'm hoping to soak up and then bring back to my students and to my colleagues.
Right. Well, we'll be very interested to hear what you find in your research. Well, I mean, you're right. What a God thing that's what you're going to be studying.
Absolutely.
Everything that's going on. So my last question is this: if you were gonna, had a room of 17, 18, 20-year-olds who were going into teaching, what is looking back on your experiences, what is the best advice that you would give to a group of future teachers?
Oh, wow. I would definitely say, and I learned this myself, use every moment as a teachable moment, because there are so many times that I learned things that weren't in a textbook, and just learning from a faculty member, but also learning from, each other and just soaking it up. Don't look at your time in college as a means to an end. Look at it as this is your opportunity to really find yourself and really learn more about yourself. I would definitely say, and again, learn this the hard way, but I would definitely say, learn to balance your time, and learn to not procrastinate, because education is one of those things that it can be overwhelming. And so when you as an educator have that mindset that I'll wait, everything starts to pile up. Grading starts to pile up, emails start to pile up. And so it's just really good to kind of, to do that. And then lastly, I would just say, be a lifelong learner. If you don't enjoy learning, your students aren't going to enjoy learning. So I would say, learn what you are passionate about and take every opportunity to learn more about that.
Well, that's pretty good advice, not just for future teachers, but for all of us. So, Dr. Luther, again, congratulations on this award, and thank you for your time today. And we wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Take care and be safe, and go SWU.
That's right. That's right. Thanks a lot.